All right, welcome everyone. We're going to have an absolutely fantastic time here. We're going to create an occasional card. We're doing an English castle. We're going to have tons of beautiful watercolor washes, lots of grays, lots of color mixes. We're going to create all these wonderful colors on this scene here. We're going to show you how you're going to create some wonderful figures here. And then at the end of the video, once we're done, we're kind of finishing up, we're going to show you all the ornamental details you can do right at the end of your watercolor painting that are going to kind of give you that final touch, the ornamentation, the jewels on the ensemble, so to speak, of your painting, so that your painting can kind of have that real finished, beautiful look to it. So join along with me. We're going to start in just a second. We're going to cover all of the drawing, the sketching, the contour drawing of this scene, this English castle. It's going to be an occasional card tutorial. So we're going to kind of show you how you can set this up so that you can actually create copies of this on your printer. We're going to get into a lot of details of how you can create an occasional card and then also print it on your home printer if you have a printer, or maybe you have a printer at your office or your place where you work. You can maybe do a few prints there. And then of course we do cover all the colors, the brushes, everything that we use here, all the details A to Z we're going to have in this video. So thanks for coming by. Couple seconds, we'll get started. Okay, we just saw the finished painting, so we're just going to get started with our pencil drawing here. So we're doing a castle, a beautiful English style castle. Main thing here is we're going to do contour drawing, so we're just going to do a few hash marks on our paper just to kind of get the overall idea. This is 4 inches by 6 inches approximately. So we have a 4-inch by 6-inch working surface for our watercolor paper. And incidentally, I'm making some occasional cards right now. So with occasional cards, all you really have to remember is you just want to take your size of your watercolor paper. So let's say this is our watercolor paper, the size of maybe printer paper, 8.5 by 11. You take it, you fold it in half, and you make a crease halfway. Just like this, you make a crease halfway and you fold your paper in half, and that's your card. That's your occasional card. So now that you have your occasional card, you can use it as a portrait style occasional card like this, so that your painting's on top, and then you can open it up and you have your message on the inside. Or you can use it like this too and do a landscape format where you have your painting on the top here, and then you open up and you have your painting, your message inside here. So it's up to you if you want to create it in a portrait format or a landscape format. But basically that's your idea on how you would divide your paper. So you could take your watercolor paper, so you would take a sheet of watercolor paper, fold it in half, make a crease like this, and then you would just tape around the edges. So you would tape around the edges of the face of your occasional card, and then you do your painting, and then you lift off your tape, and then you have a nice border around your painting, and then you just write inside your message. Or you might have somebody write it for you if they have a lot better handwriting than you do, let's say. Or you could be very careful and draw some lines across with a ruler to keep your, you could maybe print out a message, whatever it is. Take your time, put as much quality and artistic flair as you want into your occasional cards. But the basic idea is just you're either going to do it in a portrait format or a landscape format. So here we're doing it in a portrait format, so the paper is going to be upright like this. And then when we open up the paper, it's going to be like this with our message inside. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to make it in a portrait style or layout like this. And then once we're done with the painting, we'll peel off the tape around the edges, and then we'll have our card. We'll have the face of the card here with our painting, and then you can open it up and you might have all your messages. You might draw in some, or write in, do some script, do some print, whatever. You can put some light pencil lines with a ruler to keep everything straight and looking good. It's up to you, or you can just have some fun and do a really loose bit of writing or script in your occasional card. But that's basically how we do it. We just divide the paper in half, and then we have a nice card, and you can even stand it up like that. And then if it's a landscape card like this, you can stand it up like this, just like that. And then the front here is where your painting is. So your painting's here with, you put your tape around here, your masking tape or your artist tape around the edges, paint your painting, and then you can stand it up on a table like so. Once you peel off your tape, you'll have your nice border edges around it, nice white crisp border, almost like a mat. And then on the inside, you would have your message, whatever it might be. So that's how we do it. So that's just the basics of it. So let's start our contour drawing here, and we'll just I'm just going to take some basic concepts here. I'll take thirds and say, okay, let's break this space into thirds. So 1/3, 2/3, 3/3. So you have 1, 2, and 3. 3, 1, 1, 2, and 3 thirds. We have thirds here. Let's make our buildings and our castle about a little bit above that first third line here. So if that's our first third line here, let's go a little bit above that. And we'll just start out. We have some trees over here, and then we have a roof over here, and then another roof over here like so, like that. And then we have a wall over here coming across like this, a wall here. And I'll try to just keep everything going. And then this over here is going to be our castle. So we have some spires here. Some spires here. And we have our castle over here. So we have the main spire there. Like that. And this one comes down like this, and this one over here like so, and this one here like that. And then over here we have more like this. And then over here we have some buildings in the foreground here with some roofs there. Some chimneys. And there's another chimney here. And we're just having some fun here. We'll just make this wall come down here a little bit further like so. And then maybe we'll have some walls over here coming down this way. Like that. And then maybe over here we have some roofs over here. Like that. So we're just trying to create some interesting lines and building features. And I think that's good. That looks pretty good. So that's what we're going to want to. And maybe over here too we have some more. We have a chimney over here. We have a door back there. So as you can see, we develop our drawing, our pencil drawing, our contour drawing like this. Maybe we shorten this up a little bit like that. And then maybe we just darken up a few spots with our pencil just so we can recall that when we come in and start painting, we're going to make some darks over here, and then maybe we'll have an arched feature there. So we're going to want to have some darks in here too. And then over here too, we're going to have a arched feature there. And some architectural features, but I think that's fine. I think we're good. Maybe we'll have a couple figures here. Let's do a couple figures in the foreground. We'll just do a couple figures walking towards us. Like this. Just some darks. Like that. And then maybe another figure down here in the distance. Try to keep our heads the same level here. So this way we keep the tops of the heads of the figures the same level. That always is a good rule of thumb if you're going to be creating landscapes or seascapes or street scenes. When you're doing figures, you just want to keep your heads of your figures on the same level. And if you want to make the figures smaller, you just shrink them from the feet up. So if you can imagine, I'm just making the figures smaller, but I am keeping the heads on the same level. So if I was to take a ruler and put it across my drawing, all the heads are going to be at the same height. The only thing is the figures might change in size. So if I have a figure far away in the distance here, the head will be smaller, the body will be smaller, but the top of the head is going to be on the same line as the figures that are maybe larger and closer to me here. Does that make sense? So that you can kind of see how the figures here, all the heads are at the same level, the tops of the heads, I should say. So if you keep that rule in your mind, in the back of your mind, remember that. Does that make sense? Keep that idea of to keep the correct perspective in your painting of your figures when you're doing your street scenes or any kind of scene where you're going to put a few figures in like this. You just want to keep your heads on the same level, the tops of the heads of the figures. The bottoms of the figures doesn't matter. You can make these figures small, even smaller yet, and tiny. You can go back and make them even smaller over here if you wanted to, like this. So you could even make a smaller figure over here like this. But you always see that the tops of the heads are all on the same level line like that. Okay, I hope that helps. Let's start painting. We're ready to paint already. Again, we're not going to be too fussy with what we're doing here. I might just go in with a kneaded eraser. I use Faber-Castell kneaded erasers. They don't make any crumbs, incidentally. So if you don't want to have crumbs on your paper and getting into your washes and things like that, you'd use the Faber-Castell kneaded eraser, which is a soft, gummy eraser that's just perfect for watercolor. So I'll put a link in the description below if you want to pick up some of these Faber-Castell erasers. They're great. I use them all the time. Many pro artists will use them. You'll see them when they're painting. And then what I do is when I'm done with my pencil sketch, I might just erase a few lines kind of lightly. But this is what you want your pencil sketch to look like. And we can even zoom in a little bit here just so you can kind of see a little better the pencil sketch like that. Okay, so you can hit pause right now if you want and do your pencil sketch from this. And then once we get painting, you'll be able to just follow along as we go. Okay, all right, so let's take a quick break and then we'll get right into the painting portion. All right, so we're going to start our painting. Let's zoom out a little bit here. I'm hoping you're able to see that pencil drawing really well so you can actually create your pencil drawing from what we have here. And I'll just zoom out a little bit there. Okay, so that's better. Now for our painting. So the next thing we're going to do is just mix up some colors. I like to actually, as you know, if you're just sort of joining along for the first time, or if you're kind of someone that's newer to watercolor, it's great that you join along on these more advanced paintings. This, I would consider this a little more of an advanced painting. We're using the fresh squeezed tube paints. This is a little more challenging than, let's say, if you're just using like the hard cake watercolor paints. We use the Prang Oval 16 on my beginners videos, so you can always look up Extreme Beginners, Chris Petri. You just type in Extreme Beginners. You'll see all my beginners videos, and those are videos if you're just starting out and you might just be here for the first time. You'll go back and you'll look at those Extreme Beginner videos. Those are the ones you're going to want to start with, actually, because those are a little more basic with all of the information in the videos, and also the brushes that we use, the palette that we use, a little more inexpensive and a little more basic. It's a little easier to work with, let's say, synthetic brushes, which is what the Extreme Beginner series, you'll know that I sort of encourage everybody to use synthetic brushes. These brushes here we're going to use are more, these are natural hair brushes. These are Kolinsky Sable hair brushes. This is a Da Vinci travel brush, which I use quite often. They're very light. They're really nice. They feel good to handle. So I have a couple different sizes of these Kolinsky travel brushes, and these travel brushes are actually awesome. I'll leave a link below if you want to purchase a couple travel brushes. They're really fantastic. You can just put them in the tube like this, and then you screw them together like this, and then you can put this in your purse, your pocket, your backpack, whatever. If you're outdoors painting, maybe if you're on a weekend getaway, traveling a little bit, and you want to bring your watercolor sketchbooks with you and a little bit of your paint box and some brushes, these are the fantastic way to go. The Da Vinci travel brushes. I'll put a couple links to the Da Vinci travel brushes. They're fantastic to use. There's also the Charles Reed brushes. I have those as well, and these are also work fantastic. Same kind of idea. You have the brush, and these are again for more of like an advanced student. You're going to have your Kolinsky Sable brush hairs, and these come apart like so. So these are, again, travel brushes. You take them apart. So you take them apart like this, and then you just put them together like this, and they have the holes in the top like this. Both of these have holes in the tops of the handles, so that when you put it together and collapse it down and put it and stow it away, and you put it in, again, your pocket, your purse, your backpack, your whatever you're carrying your art supplies with, they're actually safe. Your brush hairs won't be damaged. They'll dry out because you have that little hole in the top of the handle of the brush, and then you can just leave it until the next time you use it, and then a week or two or a month goes by, you just take it out and use it again, and it's fine. It's the brush hairs will be dry. There'll be no mold on your brush hairs because everything dries out again with that ventilation hole at the top of the handle. So these, both the Da Vinci and the Charles Reed Escoda travel brushes work fantastic. And both of these travel brushes I do have in my arsenal of my art supplies, and I bring them with me on vacations, weekend getaways. If I'm doing a workshop out locally maybe, or in the United States, if I go out and do a workshop for a week or something like that, I'm going to have my travel brushes. This way I can go out and do some painting on location. And then, these work great that way. You can just stow them quick, throw them in the pocket, in your backpack, in your art bag, and you're ready to go. So I will use these on this painting. And then I also have another smaller version. We saw this just a little bit earlier. So this is a number, I think this is a number 4. So this is a size 4. And this one here we're going to use is a size 8. So this is a size 4 and a size 8. Two perfect sizes for this painting. And this is a number 10. We can also use this. This is the Escoda Charles Reed series travel brush. We can use this too as well. It's pretty much about the same size as the 8 in the Da Vinci model. So the first thing we'll do is let's mix up some colors. First thing we have to do is let's think about our colors. I'm going to think we're going to use some really nice gray colors. We're not going to get too high intensity with our colors. We're going to kind of keep the colors kind of grayed down a little bit. Let's go with some burnt umber here. We'll put some burnt umber here. Yeah. All right, temporary breakaway there. So we're going to keep mixing our colors. I'll use some cerulean blue over here and then take some of that burnt umber and put that into the cerulean blue. And then we'll take some purple, ultramarine violet, purple, and then take a little bit of brown and put that in there too, just to gray down that purple a little bit. So we're trying to get some interesting colors going. Maybe we're going to do some viridian green or viridian and a little bit of brown in that too. Okay. So you can tend to really do a nice bit of color mixing by adding some burnt umber to your mixes. And then cerulean blue to some of the warmer colors. So burnt sienna with a little bit of cerulean blue. And then maybe even some French ultramarine blue. I'm going to try to mix up my colors here prior to painting so that I have everything sort of mixed up. So French ultramarine blue and burnt umber make a really nice dark like that for some of the roof colors. So we will see how it goes, but I think we have a good mixture of colors. You kind of saw what I did here. Burnt umber out here in the middle. Then we added some cerulean blue over here and took some of that burnt umber just to gray down that cerulean blue. Then we did the same thing over here. We took some ultramarine violet, which is purple, over here, and then we added a touch of the burnt umber just to gray it down a little bit, because we said we want to kind of make some grayer, kind of really like muted. We don't want to have really high intensity colors in this. We're going to kind of make it a more mellow looking composition and painting. And then we went with some viridian green here, some viridian, and then we added a touch of the burnt umber to that, and that grays that down just a little bit to kind of, mellow that color out a little bit. And then again, we went with burnt sienna, and we added some cerulean blue to that burnt sienna to kind of have a little bit of that grayish burnt sienna look. And then over here, we wanted to get a really nice dark, so we went with some really dark French ultramarine blue with some burnt umber, and that gives you a really nice dark. Equal parts of burnt sienna and French ultramarine blue. So again, now we have some really good colors mixed out here. I think we could do the whole painting with these colors. We're going to use the alla prima method right now, and that means we're going to just start painting all in one go, all at one time. We're not going to do like a light wash first and let that dry and then come back in and do some darks over the top of that. What we're going to do is just go in and start painting the painting alla prima all at one time. That's all that means. Let's do the painting, this composition, this occasional card all at one time. And we also mentioned that we're going to let's start out with the darks first. So let's get some of these darks in first. So this roof here is a dark, like so. Okay, so that's a dark I see as I reference my imagination. And then what else do we have? And there might be some other colors here, but I will think that that's probably my most darkest dark. There's actually, let's keep our brush hairs dry, so let's dry off our brush. Once we rinse it off in our water container, let's dry off the hairs of the brush like so that we dry off the water, and then we'll go straight into the dark like this, and we're going to do this dark too, like that. Okay, so that's the dark there, and that can sometimes look a little confusing on camera, so if we lift this up you'll see like that. That's the other side of the roof. Maybe the tops of the chimneys up here could use a dark. Maybe some of these finer darks, like on the chimneys and things like that, the chimney pots on top of these chimneys, those are probably best to leave till the very, very final end of the painting, when we're done with all the main washes, because we're going to do some sky washes over here, so that might conflict with that darker dark we just put there. So maybe I can lift that up a little bit. There we go. Okay, so we have that completed. And then maybe we're going to do some, let's kind of work over here. Let's do a little bit of green and burnt umber. Olive green, burnt umber over here. A little bit of sap green. Actually, sap green, touch of blue, touch of sap green, burnt umber, viridian green. And that's going to be these trees over here. Like that. So that's another dark we can do. So as you can see, I'm doing my darks first. I'm trying to get in my darkest darks first and then go from there. So that's another bit of dark washes. So I do a little bit of finger painting there just to get a couple lighter bits of leaf forms and things like that, just by a quick little bit of finger painting there. And we can even do that. A little bit darker there. Okay. And then what are we going to do next? Let's go in and get some burnt sienna. We'll do this roof a little bit like so. And a little bit of raw cerulean blue. And we'll try to mix cerulean blue and burnt sienna for this roof over here. There we go. And again, I'm trying to go from dark to light. My darkest darks first. Here, 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 darkest darks. Then here, the dark green, sap green with a little bit of French ultramarine blue, burnt umber. Then we work into this roof, which is sort of darker, which is the burnt sienna, cerulean blue mix together. And then we can, again, go back into some of the darks. We're going to have this dark in there, which is the archway. You can add a little bit of some of that burnt umber and French ultramarine blue. But that looks pretty good, like that. And then maybe even a little bit of darks here too. And then the darker darks up here. Okay. And then we have another bit of dark here. Let's do some of the darker bits of shadowing under there, like so. And there's some shadowing over here on these spires along the corners. And then I rinse off the brush, dry off a little bit of the water from the brush, and maybe pick up a little bit of the very, very light wash here. So now we're going to be working into some lighter washes. Like that. Maybe we're going to do some raw sienna, just to make the washes a little lighter. And then maybe some purple mixed in with that. I think that's going to look good, some purple mixture there. And then some Verdian green. We're going to do some Verdian green up here. And that's the copper color. So once copper becomes aged a little bit, it turns that nice Verdian green color. So we're going to do that. And we notice that there is a little bit of a darker dark. We'll use burnt umber and French ultramarine blue to get a nice dark, and we'll just kind of infuse a little dark along this side of this, the rooftop here, the spire of the, and then we rinse off the brush, take off a little bit of water off the brush so that the brush is just really at this point damp, and then we can kind of just soften that dark out a little bit like that, just to blend it a little bit like so. And then again, we'll do the same colors. And we'll do these spires over here. Darker on the left, so the light's coming from the right, coming across this way. So we notice that the shadows are a little bit favoring the one side of the painting, so it's a little bit darker over here. Like this. And again, some more raw umber. Like that. And then so that would be raw sienna and green with a little bit of raw umber. Maybe a little bit of that mix of the burnt umber, burnt sienna, and cerulean blue. And this is more of a light wash here. Kind of a greenish color there. And then over here, let's mix up some of these colors, just a little bit of everything. Purple. Okay, so we're kind of working our way around the painting. And that's a bit of a privacy, like a partition wall. And I infuse a little bit of colors in there. And again, I'm just using the colors that we have available in the palette. Okay, looking good. All right, at this point, let's take a break. We've done a lot of painting so far, but you can kind of see how I've used all the colors. I guess the key point here with this painting is it's an occasional card, and we're having fun with it in that respect, that it's just an enjoyable gift we're going to give somebody for a card, for an occasional card. Could be a birthday, a holiday, a special occasion, whatever it is. This is just happens to be a beautiful English castle here. But, you know, that kind of works for any kind of an occasion. You know, it's just kind of a fun, enjoyable, beautiful architectural bit of exciting artwork that you can create. And what I'm thinking is, let's let this dry now, and then we'll finish up with the figures and the sky wash. So I think if we can, at this point, let this all dry 100%. You can use a blow dryer at this point if you want, or you can let it dry for like a half an hour to an hour. It should be good enough if you let it dry for about like a half an hour to an hour. And then you can start doing the sky wash and also the figures. So, but I think we're at that point where we have mostly everything in good shape. Actually, this can be a little bit darker over here, so let's take some of these colors, a little mix of everything, and we'll make this wall over here. So this is like a partition wall, a retaining wall along this sidewalk here, like that. And that should be good. Like that. All right, again, let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll finish up the sky wash and the figures, and we should be 100% complete. We're having a great time. I always mention, too, if you haven't subscribed, on the right-hand side below, there's the subscribe button. I know you might be here for the first time and you're saying to yourself, wow, this is so much fun. It's interesting. It's exciting. We're doing occasional cards. You can create occasional cards for any type of situation, birthdays again, holidays, any kind of event. You want to create a special homemade card for somebody, you can do that with watercolor. Watercolor is very versatile. I do nothing but watercolors on my channel. We do a lot of, mostly our main focus is just teaching the fundamentals of watercolor. We do every type of painting you can imagine in watercolors: boats, seascapes, oceans, beaches, flower paintings, still life paintings with teacups and coffee cups and fruit and vegetables and paintbrushes and all kinds of interesting stuff. We do architecture, buildings, houses. We do figure painting too as well, portrait painting. We do landscape scenes. So we do everything watercolor here. And this happens to be one time when we're kind of taking a little bit of a break from the normal, and we're doing an occasional card. We'll do occasional cards once in a while, and this is the perfect time to hit that subscribe button below if you want to keep following along with what we're doing here on my channel. I'll put links in the description below. I have a book out, a newer book, covers all of my work. I have tons of paintings in my book. You can work from those. My book is on Amazon. Easy, just simple. You click on Amazon on the link below. You can pick up my book. It'll describe to you how your basic fundamentals of watercolor work, the methods and the techniques of watercolor, and really a fundamental basic run through in my book. And I'll have lots and tons of paintings in my book for you to work from. You can work for years and years on all of the paintings that are in my book. And then also, too, again, I'll put links on some of the tools and art supplies that we use, too. I know some of you are interested in purchasing some art supplies and getting started with your watercolor journey. So let's enjoy the watercolor journey together. So I'll have some interesting links for you below in the description box down below the video. And again, the subscribe button is down below in this video. You click subscribe, and all that does is the next time you open up YouTube, you'll see that my latest videos are going to be in your queue, so that when you open up YouTube, you'll see my new videos. You'll be able to click on them and watch along. And that's all it is. You won't get any silly emails or text messages or phone calls or anything like that. YouTube just creates the subscribe button so that you can hit that button, and then YouTube will just alert you when I'm creating new videos, so that you know that I'm working here on this format, this application of YouTube, and we're creating new work, so you can join along, work along with us, have a good time, keep working on your watercolors. And again, we do everything here from A to Z watercolor. I'm glad you're joining along. Welcome. If it's your first time, thank you for coming by. It's great to have you here. We're going to just have a fun time together. We're all learning and growing together to get our watercolors looking better and better and better. So let's come back. We'll do our final washes of our sky wash and our figures in this painting, and we'll be done. And it's actually an occasional card, and we'll kind of show you how that works once we're done with this. We're going to work on creating the card once we're done painting this. Okay, be right back. All right, so we're getting back into gear here. Let's see. Now, we said we would do a sky wash. So what I did is I emptied my water container and put some fresh, clean water in my water container. And then what I'll do is I'll take that fresh, clean water and then just take some of that water and put it here in the sky a little bit. What I'll do is I'll put a little bit of a line just a little bit away from the edge of the spires of this beautiful English mansion. So what I'm going to do is create a little bit of a damp bit of paper. I'm not touching or going next. I'm not butting up with this damp brush against this green spire here. These green spires, I'm keeping the wet paper just a little, so I'm leaving like a little bit of white paper between the brush stroke and this spire here, this roof area, the spire area. So this way when we put our sky wash on, we're not going to blend it all in and kind of disrupt the paint that we've already painted with here. So that's what I'm going to do here, just add a little bit of that damp water, fresh, clean water. Now I'll do the same thing over here. I'm going to just make sure that I leave some space between the brush and the building here, as well as over here. And I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to paint around these roofs and chimney areas and the tops of these buildings so that there's a little bit of white paper left, so that again, that paper, the damp paper doesn't touch the darks that we've painted here. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? We're trying to kind of have a little bit of a damp paper barrier so that our sky wash doesn't infiltrate into that part of the painting that we've already painted. So you're seeing that I'm not, and then I'm very careful not to paint, or I'm careful not to take that damp brush and go right up against the trees over here or the rooftop. I'm staying a little bit away from the top there. You can kind of see how my brush is not quite touching the rooftop, right? So I'm leaving that little bit of space, white paper, that space in between, like that. And this way, again, now you'll see when we do our sky wash. So we're just going to go in and reactivate this cerulean blue with a little bit of the burnt umber. And we have a little bit of that. And then maybe we'll go with a little more cerulean blue, make it a little more blue up here. Like that. So we get some paint started. And then we just go in and gently put the brush strokes across like this. Leave some white clouds in there. Like that. And that's your sky wash. As simple as that. Then you can actually carefully, gently blend the sky into the roof areas, the spire of this roof up top. But the key is you want to be in control of that sky wash and not let it just run into all of these areas that you've already painted, because that could really cause some major issues and problems. If all of a sudden you have bunches of puddles of water running into all of these areas, that can cause a huge problem for you. So you're being very careful here. You're seeing what I'm doing. You understand fully and precisely what I'm doing. I'm kind of just gently blending in the sky to the building, this beautiful English castle. But I didn't do it arbitrarily. I took my time, made sure that I wet the whole entire area around this English castle so that when that sky wash went on there, it didn't infiltrate into all of these areas. Then once the paint starts to go in there, the wash, you're doing your sky wash, and you start putting your sky wash in there, then you can gently marry up the two areas carefully once the water is kind of settled into the paper. Does that make sense? Like you let your wash settle into the paper where it's not flowing out really fast. Because when you first put it onto the paper, it's flowing quickly and it's going out. But then once you put it on, your wash onto your paper, after about a minute or two, 60 seconds, 2 minutes, 2 minutes, then the water in the paint, the wash starts to soak into the paper. Then when that starts to happen, then you can happily go in here and just, again, gently, blend in the sky toward your English castle here and your rooftops over here, because it won't be too much water flowing in there and causing a disruption to your other washes. I hope that's clear, so that you know that's really a big part of watercolor is handling your washes. Your washes you'll notice that when you're learning watercolor, you're going to see that one of the most important key ideas about watercolor is knowing your washes and how they react on your paper when you're painting. That's one of the first things I kind of struggled with when I started watercolors. For 2-3 years, I struggled because I would just be painting washes on my watercolor paper and they were going everywhere. And it was just like constantly I was making a mess of my watercolors. And then eventually I realized, wow, I got to be really keen on paying attention to the washes and the washes I'm putting down onto the paper. And one of the things I learned from a great artist watercolor artist, was to make sure you kind of paint around objects, leaving like a damp edge, so that from one wash to the next, you're not letting everything flow into the other and cause issues of blossoming and blooming and cauliflowers and all kinds of disruptions of your washes. So you kind of see how I did this. I did the darks first, and then when we did our light sky wash here, we went around that whole castle with a light, damp, clean water, fresh, clean, clear water. We made a damp line around everything so that when we put on our sky wash, it didn't just go and flow right into all of this other washes that we created. It didn't happen because we took that time and made that line of a damp bit of water around this rooftop and this English castle area here, and these chimneys over here, and this roof over here. So I'm hoping that's really clear. One of the huge things of watercolor is handling those washes and kind of controlling the washes so that they don't get out of control and start infiltrating into other areas you don't want them to. All right, so I'm glad you got that, and that's why I keep talking about it on my watercolor videos here. I want to make sure I'm kind of really drilling down on the details of watercolor, the key points that you're going to need that are going to really help you a lot in your watercolor painting. All right, so I hope that's really going to help you a lot. And then here we're just going to do a little bit of wash on the this roadway here. So there's a little bit of a roadway and sidewalks here. We'll put some wash on there, warm and cool. So you take a little bit of the cool cerulean blue color from the sky wash, put that on the sidewalks over here. And then maybe you'll take a little bit of warm too, a little bit of warm color. And do a little bit of warm colors too. That burnt sienna and maybe some raw umber. So you have some warm and cool everywhere on that sidewalk area. And that's perfect. And then what we'll do is the final touches of this painting, we're going to let this dry 100%. I'm going to use a blow dryer. We'll come right back. We'll do our figures and maybe a couple details to the spires up here on the castle. And I think that'll be it. We'll have this beautiful occasional card complete. We'll peel off the tape. We'll kind of see how everything looks when we're done 100%. And thank you again for watching, following along here. Enjoy the watercolor journey, and we're going to have, again, a really fun time now that we're kind of 90% complete. We're just going to come back now and do our final bit of details, which is always the most fun part. When you've got 90% of your painting done, then you just come in very carefully and do a couple little bits of detail. Not too many, just a few touches, and you'll notice that really kind of just is like the jewels on the ensemble, as we would say. Okay, all right, so we'll be right back. All right, let's get into the details now, finishing up. I will sort of zoom in a little bit here. I'll get a little bit of the green and the dark here, burnt sienna and green. I'll put a little bit of a dark there. Burnt sienna, French ultramarine blue, and some of that green. We'll get a little bit of a dark there. So we're going to start to put in some darks that we see in our here we have some figures, so we're going to do some quick darks here, like this, and this here, like this. Another bit of darks here for this figure. Okay, so that's a little bit of a shadow there. Okay. We are going to add a little bit of some flesh tone, which is burnt sienna maybe. A little bit of just like that, and then like this here. So a little bit of flesh tone for the faces for our figures here. And we have some arms and like this. And we might have some a few figures, a little bit of flesh tones for the heads, for the faces. We also wanted to add a little bit of grayish mix here, just to give us a little bit of separation between that back area here and that wall, like that. So when we're doing our last bit of details, you can just use what you have in your palette for some grays, just to kind of put some washes on that are going to kind of help out with everything. We're going to do some darks over here for our chimneys up here. And we talked about how we wanted to do these chimney pots after we did the sky wash. And then there's some the castle has some spires here, like so. We also wanted to make maybe a little bit of a more dark here, like that. Maybe a little more of a dark up here, like so. So you can kind of sprinkle in some darks here and there. Almost like jewels, you know, for like a, maybe kind of like the jewelry. If you have a outfit, a suit, or a dress, and you're maybe putting like a model together and you're putting a dress or a suit, something, dressing a person up, and then the final touches would be like the jewelry, a necklace, some earrings, a watch, a few things like that, cufflinks, things like that. So this would be kind of the same idea. We're just adding some of those real finer details now. The darkest darks here actually are going to sort of kind of give us that look. The final ornamentation, we have a door over here. We might have another door over here, maybe another window or two here. But just a kind of a just a couple touches of detail here, a couple windows like that. And then maybe another couple of chimney pots up here, like that. And then you can kind of see that's really the final bits of detail that we needed. And then we'll use some of that purple over here with some of the darks here and the purple. And we'll just put a little bit of a shadow over here on this wall, along this partition wall, like that. And a little bit of shadow along here too. And that always helps to some shadows help to sort of give a little more three-dimensional quality to the painting if we add some shadows. I think that's good. Let's not get too bogged down with too many details. Let's kind of keep it simple. And then what we'll do now is we'll just peel off the tape carefully. Sometimes I get a little bit overzealous and I peel the tape off too quickly and I tear some of the paper, watercolor paper. So it's always better to just take your time when you take off your tape. Just take your time. Does that make sense? Now that you're done with your painting, take your time. Carefully take off your tape like that on a 45-degree angle. Tends to work really good if you can do it that way. And then we'll do the same thing here. You kind of keep the tape on a 45-degree angle like that as you go, carefully, so you don't tear into your painting area. Like that. And there we go. Perfect. All right, so now you can kind of see how we have the occasional card completed, the painting portion. And then all we have to do now is we can basically trim our paper, and then we can put a message on the back if we wanted to. On this particular painting, what I'm going to do is take this and put this on my printer at home. So if you have a printer at home, you can actually print your paintings onto your printer and make it like this one here. I designed it so this occasional card is designed like we were showing before, that I have it set up so that this is the portion of the painting like so, that fits on this half of the paper, and then this half of the paper is the back, like that. So when I put this on my printer machine, it's going to print out this painting here, and then I can just take it. It'll be on here now. The printer will print out the painting on the top of this paper like so, on my printer paper, and then on the inside I'll have plenty of room to write my messages for occasional cards, whatever it may be. And then you'll kind of see how, and you also have some room down here. You can put down any type of message you want, like for a birthday or a holiday or anything you would like to. You can just put that on the bottom of the painting here. If I zoom out like that, you can put the message down here on the bottom, because there's plenty of room. You can kind of see how this would be the 8.5 by 11, which is the same size as printer paper, that office paper that you would use, and you can kind of see how that works out just right. So you have plenty of room to write a message down here, and it'll be printed right on the top of this part of your paper, and you just fold your paper in half, and then when you open up your paper, you can write your messages over here. Maybe you might tape down a couple of dollars or a couple of bits of gift certificates or whatever over here, and you make a message over here, and there you have it. You have a wonderful occasional card. Hope you'll enjoy this. Thanks so much for coming by. We're doing paintings like this all the time on my channel here, so I'm hoping you'll subscribe on the right-hand side below. If you like this video, thumbs it up. It's always great. If you give me a thumbs up on my videos, it really helps me a lot on my YouTube videos. It just brings my videos out to more people that are interested in watercolor, so I'm hoping you'll help me out by giving me a thumbs up if you do like this video. And then we'll see on the next the next tutorial. We'll be back again before you know it, making another video. We're always creating new videos. I would say I make about 2 or 3 videos every week, for the most part, so you'll be constantly seeing new content coming out on my channel. Again, thank you for coming by. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all your great comments and for all the kind words in the comments section. I know many of you make some really fantastic comments, great insights into watercolor, what your challenges are, what your victories are as you're going through watercolors. So it's great to hear from everybody in the comments section. So, and I'm always happy to answer any questions you may have too in the comments section. So I'm always in there watching and kind of, chatting with everybody. So it's great to talk to you there too as well. And we'll see you soon.